Were the Sumerian Turks? Did they speak Turkish? Were the Sumerians a branch of the Turks? Let's talk about it scientifically. Hello, welcome to Bilig Academia. I'm Emrecan. With you today, we will go back to the 4000s and try to explain the relationships between Sumerian and Turkish in all its details. But I want to make a warning before going into this video. In this video, you can often hear terminological expressions related to the linguistic in order to explain the issue scientifically. I'll try to write which expression corresponds to what at the bottom of the video, where I think it is necessary for you to understand better. Another quote is about the depth of the subject. In order to remain faithful to our thesis, we will generally try to explain the issue with linguistic information. We will make use of other areas as much as necessary. I will also add a bibliography to the video description. This content consists of four main parts: the history of researching the relationships between Sumerian and Turkish, the relationships between Sumerian and Turkish, comparative example, and conclusion. According to the Helmut Uhlig and the Gebhard Sels, the Sumerians were not the indigenous people of Mesopotamia, but settled here in the BC. It came from outside around 3500 BC. Many opinions have been put forward by scientists in this regard. The strongest among these is the view that, according to İlhami Durmuş, the Sumerians came to Mesopotamia from around the Aral Sea, that is, from Central Asia. Scholars with this view conclude that the Sumerians could be one of the ancient Turkish communities or tribe related to the Turkish. Osman Nedim Tuna received a book called Dili Sözlüğü while he was a student at Istanbul University, Department of Turkology in 1947-48. While examining the book, the Sumerian word gut suddenly catches his eyes, because this word is used as ud in period we called Old Turkish. Based on this similarity, Tuna said, if this is not a coincidence but due to historical interest of the Sumerians and Turkish languages, then the Sumerian word head, G, should correspond to zero morpheme in Turkish. As is known, there is no G phoneme at the beginning of a word in Old Turkish. If these references are correct, the possibility of coincidence with other Turkish words must be logically possible. Tuna begins to make further readings on Sumerians and SM Home. AT finds other examples such as work. Thus, he created the first regular sound correspondence in 1947. Tuna in 1962, at the University of Washington, he started his doctorate in Turkology, Mongolistic, Altaikism and Linguistic under Nicholas Pope and completed his doctorate in 1969. During this period, he discovered the love of secondary and tertiary sound after the other. On April 6, 1971, the 181st Congress of the American Oriental Society, of which Osman Nedim Tuna is a member, was held at Harvard University. Turkologists and historians such as Erika Reiner, Chicago, Harvard Paper, Michigan, O. Pritztag, Harvard, Dan Steiner, Indiana, Shinas Tekin, Harvard, Fahri East, Chicago, and Halil İnançık, Philadelphia, attend the meeting. Tuna shares her finding with other members at this meeting and is greatly appreciated. Osman Nedim Tuna in 1973 requested a meeting from Turkologist Ahmet Timir, the head of the Turkish Cultural Research Institute at the time. By talking about his work and upon his own request, Sumerologist Emin Bilgiç, Old West Turkish expert Hasan Eren, Sinology expert Bahattin Ögel, and the Mongolist Altaist expert Ahmet Timir. Thus, for the first time, Tuna brings together the expert of both languages and consult on subject. On April 9, 1974, experts in Near, Middle, and Far Eastern languages, such as Indo-European linguistic George Cardona and Henry Hogginswall, comparative Native Americans John Vogt, Sumerologist Akis Yober, and archaeologist Earl Lighty, held a meeting at the University of Pennsylvania. In these meetings were more than 200 comparisons were made. No objections are made to any word other than the word sipat put forward by Pritztag. The relations of all them with Turkish is accepted as scientific. Then Steiner says that this work of Tuna should be published as soon as possible, and the work is evaluated as error-free. After briefly mentioning the research history of Sumerians' relationships with Turkish, let's now take a detailed look at the relationships between of the two languages comparatively. The first thought put forward in such comparisons is whether there is a coincidence. Mathematics is the best way to understand this. According to the calculations published in Osman Nedim Tuna's article titled The Historical Relevance of the Sumerian and Turkish Languages, and the issue of the age of the Turkish languages. It only takes a miracle for changed words to be so similar to each other in these two world languages, which do not have much to do with each other. Again, according to Tuna's statements, it is necessary to determine the minimum number of similar pairs sufficient to prove the historical relationships between the two languages. According to Coven, Greenberg, and Bender, only an equivalence from 2 to 7 proves that the historical relationships of the two languages, provided that they comply with the CVC rule. It is mathematically impossible for the Turkish words in Sumerians to be a coincidence. But the most difficult thing, even the impossible in terms of coincidence, is the compound words that have the same meaning in both languages and are made from two different words according to the grammatical rules in Turkish. Let's look at this equation together. Another important point to note is that both the Turkic era, which is sole successor of Shuva's Turkish, and representing by Turkish dialects such as Oghuz, Karluk, and Kıpçak today, are both seen in Turkish words in Sumerian. This shows that Sumerian interacted with Turkish at the time when it witnessed the phonetic translation of Turkish. Based on information we received from Osman Nedim Tuna, we can conclude as follows. Sumerians and Turkish may or may not have been related to each other in much older period. This issue does not concern us. However, it has been scientifically proven that there is a linguistic relationships between the Sumerians and the Turks, with 168 words being Turkish. The existence of the Turkish language 5,500 years ago has been seen concretely. Especially the fact that this parent corresponds to the phonetic translation period of Turkish takes the historical age of Turkish even further. According to the research conducted by Osman Nedim Tuna in 1983, the history of Turkish should correspond to the least 8,000 years ago. The language has the oldest written documents among the languages living today is the Turkish language. The oldest of these are words taken from Turkish on Sumerian tablets, which we describe in this video. According to Ahmet Bican Ercilasun, another modern language whose connection with Sumerian was discovered later is Hungarian. It should not be forgotten that Hungarian is also an Uralic language and originates from Central Asia. Yes, it is tiring, but I think it's an important video, as I hope it will end the popular debates going on today. If you like the video, don't forget to press the like button, turn on the notification bell to be informed about the developments, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I would like to end this video with the last word in Osman Nedim Tuna's book, The Historical Relevance of Sumerian and Turkish Languages. See you in the next video. Stay with science. The Sumerian language and the Turkish language were compared by many. Except for the B Munchas, none of them was prepared in terms of the Turkish language. Regular sound laws were first used by me in 1947 on this subject. I started this work by an accident. I gave my first lecture on these in 1970. And in 1982, I completed my work by finding the answer to the last question I could imagine would be asked of me. I have not given all of my material. I outlined this issue. The point that I paid the most attention during my work was the idea of being able to get rid of my Turkishness from this subject. I believe I can achieve this. I had no prejudice and my goal was simply to establish the truth. I don't doubt that I succeeded, because I know that I'm better prepared than anyone who has ever dealt with such a subject. However, I'm a Turkologist, Mongolist, Altaist, and linguist, not a Sumerologist. I record this as a fact, without hiding being false modesty. In this respect, I cannot be held responsible for the correctness or inaccuracy of the Sumerian word. Each of these is given exactly as the Sumerologists themselves determined. Now, the meaning and form of some of them may have changed as a result of the development of Sumerology. Despite all my checks, if there are such ones, it probably won't be 15 words. Even if we double that, there are still 138 words left, which the sound I give is not enough to break the equivalence law, because it is mean that more than 8 support examples will remain for each law. This is more than twice the desired amount. However, I cannot be sure that my possible opponents, especially the Sumerologists, will show my efforts to dispel any bias that may arise from my own nationality. If they are to raise objections, they must consider all the words I have given, since the truth cannot be established any other way. If there is a mistake, it should be attested not by personal authority, but by a written source, in the same language and form as I have done even for words of Turkish origin. On all the remaining points, I can defend my conclusions, no matter who the questions come from.